going to be a real joy. And I'll be curious to see how these two teams come out and factor in and filter in. One team must win. One team is going to be put to the sidelines. Who will it be? I wonder how many people would have expected potentially NRG to already be down a peg or two come the end of the 64.
I think most people have been surprised at the match being close, much less them actually dropping one in the series. I mean, again, that is going to be disappointing for them if they fall out this early on, considering the investment behind this team and considering the name value that NRG brings in the esports space. But indeed, it does come down to split. Our first time seeing it today. Obviously, you out there should be no stranger to this map. One of the core maps to Valorant from the very beginning. It's had some changes here and there, but still very much at home on this map, no matter what.
Has your feed froze as well? Mm-hmm. Oh.
You know,
I'm just staring at a tower right now.
Yeah, you know, it's a cool looking tower. Hey, there we go.
There we go.
Yes.
It's all good.
And indeed, reaches out to play. No Sova in sight, as we kind of expect. Other than that, nothing's really... Oh, there's a Sage from zebroe. Okay. This is actually one of the maps where Sage's wall can be very useful, particularly at mid defense. It can also be used, in particularly for B burst plays. The Sage wall can cover a lot of ground on B to help you kind of cross into sight. So while Sage pretty much got nerfed into oblivion, this is a map that she can still really have a lot of value. So I'm happy to see her in play here from Kudos.
Yeah, that barrier is definitely going to be a consistent feature. We'll have to see how they can occupy it from the attacking side, though. Maybe fend off one of those angles they look to push in. In terms of the setup right now, it is basically an A-centered hit from NRG in terms of their defenses, filtering out with two in middle, but by and large giving up B and just having daps watching over from the top
and there it
of the
is.
Rafters.
There's that wall I'm talking about, and it's been able to reinforce. So that's going to be allowing a route into the site now to get that plan. Also a great Jett dash to get in, but can they hold off this retake fence? They're already a man down in it.
Yeah, and NRG were playing for the retake anyway. They only had one player up in the rafters, so the second that happened, they just backed off. And now xCeeD up close, delivering fatal blows with Som. It seems like Kudos may very well have got the plant, but whether they can hold on to it is looking unlikely. Cloudburst out to just stop any of the stragglers, and KOLER got a slow start beginning, and let's be honest, end in their second map, but he has really come to life here on Split.
Yeah, that's a great retake from NRG, and that kind of gives us our first little taste on what you're going to be seeing, because I guarantee you that combination of that Sage wall and the breach rapid fire flashes and the Jett dash is going to be a B execute we're going to see even on gun rounds later on, I'd imagine. So the fact that NRG were able to handle it in the pistol with a good retake is going to be something that Kudos is going to have to think about going forward. Obviously, there's other uses for Sage besides just that. But that is definitely one of the popular ways to use Sage on attacking side is that particular wall. You can also use the wall to help you out in other areas, particularly holding off retakes. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out going forward.
Slow orb being set up for an A hit. Ooh, good flashpoint as well, keeping them at arm's reach, but now the Spectre starts to rip through the oncoming Kudos players. Som has been tagged down so hard, I have no idea how he's still alive. How is he still in this? And Fletcher finally finishes him off. There is a tripwire down in the vents. And all around the world tactic. They've gone via B, in towards middle, through onto A rafters, but now they have been subdued and pushed back just for a few more moments before they look to try and pull the trigger on this push. But they only have 2 players left now.
Yeah, we see NRG being able to kind of regather themselves. It was a good little quick transition from Kudos to slide back their vents to B side, but KOLER's done a great job kind of holding them off. daps making the rotation as well. A couple of big kills. Gets the hat trick, in fact, on the round with Omen. So good response from NRG and what could have been a very chaotic moment when that transition took place through the vents, but not gonna really come into play there for Kudos the way they had hoped, as they're now down 0-2 and still can't really go for the buy. We'll just have to be on the shares. They put an investment in that previous round that didn't pay off. They've also not been able to get a spike plant in that last round either. So again, we'll just have to sit back on the pistols and give NRG a great opportunity to go ahead and get the big 3-0 start.
Behind me.
It has been a convincing start to our third map, maybe proving points to themselves as opposed to anyone else. It's a point that we raised before where a massive underdog team, even to win a map, is a minor victory. And obviously they want the whole thing. They want to have the whole cake and eat it, indeed. As daps is forced back, eeiu with a crossfire. Hira is the only player on Kudos that's really stepped up and landed anything, and it's a Sheriff one tap. Annulling some of those plays and looking to exploit that momentary weakness, which has now been filled in by 2 more of the defenders. And daps with the spray is merciless. NRG off to a peerless start.
Yeah, couldn't have really gone better for NRG as far as how things have kicked off in this half, but now we will have Kudos onto the full firepower and abilities being purchased, so they'll be able to put their best foot forward here. Again, mid control is a very big part of the game. Usually the Omen for the attacking side will be smoking off that ropes position to allow them to gain access to middle and start putting pressure on male, or even take vents for themselves to pressure A heaven for different types of site splits. A plays across ramps are also quite common. There are some B burst options available with Breach's flashes as well as Sage's wall, which we saw in the pistol round already. We see KOLER getting real aggro there with the showstopper early. Not going to hit his mark, though, so unfortunately that ult will not have any impacts. In the meantime, we do see that mid-control I was speaking of taking place here from Kudos. Again, Cypher will often be used as a lurk player on the A side of the map to gain information with his cams.
Breach flash is good, but so is KOLER's spray.
Oh, wow.
And the Vandal goes in and rips in for a 3rd headshot.
That's
now, we
disheartening.
said that second map, he was slow, but my God, has he woken up.
Yeah, I mean, him playing that role on B Heaven and just in mid in general is going to be a big way that the pace of this half will be dictated. Again, a lot of teams will defensively kind of give up middle. They won't really play anyone inside those vents or ropes, and they really will kind of be playing that double B Heaven setup. And so essentially, with that, KOLER is going to be called on a lot to make plays like that. And so the fact that he stepped up to the plate right away with a really big round there is great news for NRG, who, again, tournament life on the line for them. And while it's sustained for Kudos, I think the pressure's a bit higher for NRG. The stakes are higher.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Kudos lose this. Oh, it's to be expected. If NRG lose this, as you said, the amount of money that's been spent... Yep. Yeah, pretty much. Only 4 kills in 4 rounds. Pretty grim. Teddy, the player that we've been really, well, just going crazy over how good he's been. He's not even got an assist. He's been eerily quiet.
Yeah. Still early days, though. They've only had 1 full buy. They kind of went for something a little bit more heavy-handed on round 2 that didn't pay off, so they've had to be a little bit more thrifty, I guess the game would say, as we are going to see zebroe using the slow to kind of make sure that no pushes take place. You'll probably see Sage doing that a lot as a B lurk, just kind of making sure that no one's pushing through B and getting intel by using the slower to discourage any type of aggressive movements in that direction while the rest of the team takes mid control. And indeed, they're going to be doing that again here with the pistols. They do have the blades out on Hira. That's going to be their main hope of finding openings.
Hasn't had a great success rate, though, when it comes to the Blade Storm. This time around, will make it stick.
Oh, wow.
Lands it. That flashbang could not have been better placed. It landed in the eyes of 3 players, but daps also takes a little bit of utility on his own side. 2v2. Kudos not really with much into this round in terms of finances. May be able to stick this yet, or perhaps not. Som straight through the rafters, catching them both off guard. Successful defuse comes in, 5-0 start, but that was pretty damn close.
That's a cool plant. You don't really see that location being used for a spike plant, but the slow orb gave the confidence that they could plant in that spot and then kind of use it to really see it from a lot of places, whether that be the rafters, whether that be pushing into defending spawn. So I'm kind of curious if that'll come into play later on or not. Don't really see that too often. Back to the full buy will be Kudos on max loss bonus and a spike plant. So we'll be able to afford pretty much all that they could hope for, but now they need to get rolling. This is the round I feel like they need to win before they let the energy momentum spiral out of control. And they're going to be going for something heavy-handed at A right off the rip. They're going to probably try to smoke their way into an A ramps press and try to put that pressure on A heaven.
Well, the pressure is certainly being applied, looking to put NRG to the sword. But they may very well fall on it if they're not careful. xCeeD and Som both getting kills, and, well, the yikes says it all, doesn't it? Although Teddy actually He's not too interested in this. He's still in this round. A tailwind used perfectly to get Som the hell out of trouble. And now goes back in for more. Third kill of the round, leaving Teddy, who's already posted up some serious entry frags, to walk into the crosshair, but actually Som misses.
That was so close.
That puts it down to daps. Teddy moving up to retrieve the spike. No idea as to where daps is residing, is waiting. Now, with each second that this passes, daps may assume that this is a rotation back over onto the B side of the map. He still has the cross towards the site. This all just comes down to patience. Who holds their nerve longer? Obviously, it will favor daps in this situation because Teddy knows he still has to plant the spike. He knows he has to make a move. And this patience from daps is so huge. He is moving in into the crosshair. He gets spotted and daps takes his head off. Well played.
Yeah, definitely amazing for daps to hold his nerve. He was basically just saying, look, if you come A, I've got you dead to rights. If I have to rotate over in the 1v1 on B, so be it. But I'm not going to, you know, play haphazardly or play halfway. I'm just going to pick one side and hold it. And that's what he did. And he gets benefited for that choice. Big round there from him. That was a lot closer than I thought it would be. I felt like NRG's initial defense on that take was so very good, only for it to get into like a really tense 2-on-2 in the end. So that was a little bit shocking, but NRG do find their footing to now jump up to a 6-0 lead. And now they're looking to challenge mid with Sam's operator. But it is going to be that A ramp take coming in from Kudos, but this is not really the ball of the attack. In fact, I think their goal here is to actually try to get into vents and pressure mid that way and try to split this B side. The problem is, look at this aggression from NRG at middle with their own Omen. It's going to be daps.
Off your feet!
Yeah, so much information that gets gathered in amongst all of that. Here comes the Rolling Thunder. Here comes the push.
Oh, no.
Getting caught on the tripwire. And dazed and confused is Jonah, but Hira still comes out ahead in the trades. Bladestorm has been picked up on Som, who still has the operator at his disposal. KOLER straight through with an entry back in towards the rafters. And Teddy planting the spike elsewhere. Wall goes down to perfection. The barrier living up to its name, barricading off the team from the aggression of eeiu, who now just needs to stay alive and let the rest of the troops deliver some much needed support. He stands his ground, as does KOLER. zebroe spins into action, flash in his face, and daps shuts him down in the back. Another successful retake for NRG.
Yeah, I say NRG did a pretty good job stalling out that A heaven pressure from really being able to pose too much of a threat on the vents itself. And with that having such forward position at middle, while it did leave the B site vulnerable, they knew that it was like a one-way attack. They knew that everyone must have been coming through B main. They didn't have to worry about flanks or anything gimmicky. They could just focus their retake on the site itself. And so while Kudos found a bit of a gap to get that spike plant, unable to really handle any of that retake. And now, once again, they are having to work with very little, and they are so far down the scoreboard. This is a much different feeling, a much different vibe than how the rest of the series has gone. This is the first time we've really seen Kudos crumble and NRG just absolutely dominate. There's been a couple of close rounds, sure, but NRG have locked them all up.
Yeah, this has been a big change of pace from what we saw in the second.
Oh,
Here comes Rolling Thunder again. Showstopper alongside it. It could be a massacre. It is a massacre. Will there be any survivors? Well, maybe there will. Maybe they can turn it around. Jonah's just come in with a double sheriff. I have no idea how that just happened, but yet they still stand. They still deliver. Another close round. But now Jonah's been sprayed out of existence, and Hira will follow suit. It's a nice try from Kudos, considering how many ults are up against them, but it's still 8-0 come the end of it.
Yeah, I mean, you could say that NRG got a little bit over-eager after those first couple of frags to keep pushing forward, and you might be right in saying that, but at the end of the day, they still comfortably won the round, surviving with 3 members, and they have a pretty swelling economy, so it's not going to hurt them too much they lost those players. It's a small victory for Kudos. But they are going to have Hira on the attacking op with Jett, which is a lot harder to pull off, Vince. The movement inaccuracy of that weapon is way higher than it used to be, so it's going to take a lot of assistance to be able to find something with this. But Hira will be able to kind of slowly creep out. That cage will eventually deploy so Hira can focus on taking a pick into heaven or to screens. And that's exactly what Hira's going to do on the A side. In the meantime, mid control being taken by some of his other teammates. xCeeD, good vision of A Heaven, knowing that they haven't pushed all the way up through ramps just yet. So it's kind of a stalemate for now.
Oh, Som, though, has gone on to Hira. So that aggressive AWP, as you mentioned, has now been suppressed down. Have to passively wait for the next round, which could be NRG continuing their flawless run streak of rounds.
Yeah, they already have a pretty big rotation here. They have their male defense pressing deep and having good vision of middle itself. They have the A defense again very well reinforced. daps taking it further with a push into ramp for a kill. A great paranoia gets him a way to get out. Great pickup from xCeeD as well. It is just damning what is happening to Kudos right now on their attacking side. They can't even really make any progress past the initial choke point now all of a sudden. They are getting absolutely destroyed, Vince. This is perhaps the most one-sided half we've seen all day, and we had some pretty big games, kind of 100 Thieves to kick off the matches here in the open qualifier, so that's saying a lot.
Oh, I absolutely think this is the most one-sided, because even the I think it was 13-3 for the first map.
13-2, I think.
There were 13-2. There were 3 or 4 rounds at least that could have easily gone the way of Hot Thoughts. So, I mean, yeah, I think this is by far the most one-sided. And you look at the kill dispersal, it's like combined, they have, what, 15 kills?
Yeah,
That's
what
daps never does that by himself.
Yeah, that's and it's daps. I mean, no offense to the guy, but it's not even the stars having to step up. But look at this from zebroe. This is interesting. I like this little wall boost attempt here. Again, because you don't see Sage so often, you don't get to see stuff like this. But it's been spotted already. They know exactly that what's in play here. They had the opening pick on the energy side already as well to boot.
Well, Hira. Fletcher straight through the Cypher cage. Has been decapitated, as will zebroe. Good flash onto Jonah. He landed 2 sheriff kills earlier on a few rounds ago. He would have to double up on that promise. I'm not doubting the guy's skill level, but this would be a miracle play if he pulled it off. Oh, and to just make it a little bit worse, I now know exactly where you are, Chief, and you're dead.
Well, the series may have started out with a bang, with Kudos being very impressive and challenging NRG to matches that were down to the wire, but it does seem that they're kind of going out with the whimper thus far, Vince, and that's a bit disappointing. I was really hoping to see the tense games continue on, but this has been a walk in the park for NRG thus far here on Split. I mean, I like that Kudos were trying to bring something to the table a bit different by bringing Sage to play, which you don't see so often these days. But it really hasn't paid off.
Yeah, it feels like across the board it's not paid off either. Som missing out on his chance. Shot, tailwind out of there. Stay alive. One of the best hits that we've seen, though, from Kudos. At least gets them on the board in terms of a spike plant. And a full 10-man battle is about to ensue. And they look to lock horns. 5v5 retake. Cypher posted up close. Has now been dispatched by KOLER. That applies the pressure that little bit thicker. They have to maybe peek back in again. Paranoia is good, but so is Hira. Spray. Fletcher and Jonah joining suit, and now it's all down to eeiu. Picked off a crazy 1v4 clutch on the second map, but this may be asking a little bit too much of the man who was playing with what, Jett last map, I believe it was? Or was it Sova? Doesn't really matter. It's the first round to Kudos now.
You are correct. They haven't been able to finally put it on the board, but it's probably come a little bit too late, I'd imagine. I mean, this map I know is pretty defensive-sided, but not this much. This has been a really tough play here from Kudos, but at least they were able to get one round in there. If they can finish it off with another and get pistol in the second half, maybe they could build something, but they still have so much work to do. A good take, as you said, and they were able to capitalize, but it just hasn't happened often enough this half. But they'll see what they can come up with. They're going to put that pressure now towards B lobby. Again, I imagine you're going to see that stage wall put into play, a Jett dash, some breach flashes. They're going to try to just overwhelm this player inside the site.
Oh. What a banging shot that was through the wall. Instantly revived, though, by Sage. Having a bit of impact. So early pick goes the way of NRG has been nullified and mitigated, and they look to draw away. They did lose a lot of utility, though, in the process. There,
I
a
don't
bunch
think
of flashes.
I don't think they dropped Sage's barrier there on that attack, though. I think they kind of feinted it. So they still, I
True.
think, have the barrier in play to use to cover that first cross, which is where Sam's posted up with the operator. So his op won't be able to stop them crossing into sight. So there's still a very real chance Kudos can pull this side execute off.
And here it comes into play. But Sam has popped the Blade Storm. And he still has the updrift. He still has more than enough teammates to work off, and they've already dealt some fatal blows. In he comes, headshots aplenty. There's another one.
Wow.
Lovely play from Sam, lovely half from NRG.
That's man, that there's just like an anticlimactic feel to this game.
Switching sides.
Just the way the first two maps played out, I really thought we were in for a show. And I mean, in some ways we have been, but just not the one I thought. So props to NRG for really getting it into gear and dominating the game, but Kudos, I hope that they can at least dig deep and find a way to challenge in the second half, Vince. It would be a shame to see them walk away after having such a great performance in the first two.
Oh, here is the GoPuff halftime replays. All of the main heavy-hitting moments of the first half, and let's be honest,
might as well just
for
call
most
it the
of
NRG
them-
highlight reel.
Right, exactly. It was basically Kudos getting KO'd over and over again.
I think NRG sponsored this segment.
So there we have it. 11-1. NRG 2 rounds shy of securing their spot in the round of 32. And Jonah trying to hold on desperately. That's a beautiful flash, but there's no one behind it. There's no real follow-up, and NRG are starting to just steamroll over the site. Deja vu. We've been here before. The outcome typically has been bleak for Kudos. They do have 2 players left. Both of them are healthy, but a good fault line keeps them at bay. Boombot's been spotted compromising one of these 2 positions. Paranoia comes in, does deal with Sam. Hira just snaps in with a headshot. Nicely done, but still has to deal with the threats of eeiu and daps through the dark cloud will just destroy him. The dark cover living up to its name. 12-1. NRG have 11 match points.
If you want to keep the dark term flowing, it would be dark times for Kudos, as they are 1 round away from being eliminated here in this open qualifier. They certainly put on a good performance on average throughout the series, but they just did not show up to play here thus far on Split, and they're running out of time to show themselves. They will, of course, buy up all that they can, some judges, some stingers. They will try to put their best effort with what they can afford, but their chances do seem well and truly grim, as they are just waiting for NRG to show some presence, as it's pretty default here to open for NRG, just getting that mid control, keeping Cypher holding intel on A, having Raze lurk out in the B lobby. Pretty standard stuff here from NRG.
Some shoulder peeks from Fletcher, which does draw out a shot from KOLER. But with so much time left, that information has a sell-by date. And the expiration pretty much already came in, let's be honest. Minute left on the clock.
Gathering up here as NRG over towards A side of the map, looking to put the smokes up on Heaven and likely screens, which would basically block out the site. Breach is the only person for Kudos really kind of defending here openly, and he will likely be blocked off, and they will be forced to play for a retake. Indeed, the smokes do come down. There is some counter cages put into play, but NRG able to just spill in. Jonah does get back into the site, however. A good flash, a couple of kills. Only 1,
left.
actually.
1 kill, but tons of damage. You can see that KOLER only a couple of HP away from his demise, and from an early grave, an early bath. But another post plant. The trade's going in favor of Kudos, all stuck at the back of the site. And now daps, last man standing, has been cordoned off from the Cypher cage. They're holding down on the defuse, and there's not really anything he can do about this, and he can't even make the most of it afterwards. He gets shut down. Kudos survive by the skin of their teeth, but they're still in this.
Yeah, Jonah did a great job sliding back into the site, not letting the smoke at screens take him out of the round, and he was able to come in and get a kill, and like you said, do a lot of damage, and also buy time for the rotation to set up the retake. As you also noted, NRG basically just got trapped inside the site itself. We're never really able to you know, get themselves into screens or fall back towards ramps to, you know, get along with daps, who was holding that position. They could just never really escape, and that really allowed Kudos to build a nice retake there, but they must win 10 more in a row to force that overtime. It is going to be NRG with little to work with. Great wall there, but oh, actually whiffed the jump over it. That's big. That gives so much intel to Kudos.
Intel and kills. Hira with a Vandal makes short work. Oh, the judge is just spamming up through Som. Hira takes another one down, and NRG only have xCeeD left. Not for too much longer, though. He's gone the way of the Dodo, and Kudos have gone the way of a third round.
Yep, the judge's sentence was another round must being played by NRG. But now they will be back onto the full buy. Same could be said for Kudos, including an operator in the hands of Hira, who has definitely shown us a time or two that he's quite capable. He'll be challenged immediately here on the A side. You can see that NRG are looking to burst onto this side. As I say that, here actually backs off to go towards B Heaven. Is well and truly just breach playing this A side. The rotation's also quite far offense. This could be a big problem for Kudos. They don't really have a rotation set up for this type of attack.
Get out of my way.
Exactly. Almost setting up for a retake, but
Can't even escape.
Yeah, exactly. If you're setting up for a retake, you at least need to keep all 5 players alive, or at least get a 1-for-1 trade. The fact that they're now 4v5 in a post plant with KOLER getting up close and damage being inflicted, Kudos have just shot themselves in the foot with a double-barreled shotgun. They've blown themselves to pieces with this decision, and they are getting punished severely. NRG victorious. It took longer than they're expecting, but they got it done on split very comfortably in the end.
Yeah, it wasn't a, you know, walk in the park for NRG, which is I'm sure they're hoping for this early on in the opening qualifier. You don't want to be, you know, stressed out and having to break a sweat in the round of 64 if you're a big organization on NRG. But hey, at the end of the day, they got the W, which is what matters. And they did so.